Hi, my name is Rossy Nabila and Aulia with sir number 123221058. Okay, before I start, I have a question for you. Have you heard about gender-based violence? Yes? Or you haven't heard about that term? Well, no problem because I read an article about it and I really like to share it to you. Why? Because I think it's really informative article and it's also really important to know the effects and also the danger of gender-based violence itself. The article is from IRC or International Rescue Committee and the title is What is Gender-Based Violence and How Do We Prevent It? Okay, this is the table of contents. It's only 6 slides actually, so it won't take so long. I really hope that you give your attention for the next probably 10 minutes. Here, it's really important. Over one third of women and girls around the world will experience any kind of violence in their lifetime. It's stated by International Rescue Committee in 2023. So, I think one third of women and girls is really big number of survivors, right? So we have urgencies to take action to prevent and to respond to any kind of violence in this world, including GBV or gender-based violence. But before that, what is gender-based violence actually? So gender-based violence or GBV is all abusive behaviors that are damaging and committed against an individual's will, resulting from a system of unequal power relations between men and women. So if you find any abusive acts or it can be threats that prevent you from doing something that you want and it based from stereotype in society that distinguish women and men, then that acts called gender-based violence. Let's take a look to its forms. The first is sexual abuse, like rape, then followed by harmful practices, like child marriage, also socioeconomic violence. For example, if you make or force someone to work in your family business, but you don't pay them, it's one of socioeconomic violence. The next is physical violence, like slavery, then psychological violence. It's usually from words, like verbal abuse. Okay, next slide. Who's at greater risk? Well, actually, everyone in this world can experience GBV, not only women but also men. But there are some groups in society that have a greater or higher risk of experiencing GBV. And the first is women and girls with disabilities, followed by young and adolescent girls, then older women, people who identify as LGBTQ. So GBV can happen not only based from unequal power between men and women, but also their sex orientation. The next is women of ethnic minorities, and the last, refugees and migrants. What causes gender-based violence? Actually, there are some condition or crisis in society that can lead to gender-based violence. The first is poverty. Well, in family that experience poverty or unfortunate condition in economy, um, it will give them an option to do harmful practices like child marriage, unfortunately. The next is breakdown of protections. in society that have not enough securities or protections, um, then the women in that society will have no support system that can prevent them from experiencing GBV. Then the third condition is conflict or war. Well, actually, it happened in our country, right? In our history, when colonizer use use our women or our girls to do sexual slavery, sex abuse, like forced pregnancy, forced abortion, like that. Well, it make me so sad right now. Like, okay, then displacement is related to the last groups that I mentioned before, refugees and migrants. They experience displacement, so they don't have a safe place to live. You know, it can lead to exploitation, like slavery also. The last condition is stress at home. In family that experience stress at home, for example, because alcohol addiction, it increased the risk of child abuse. Next slide, effects of gender-based violence. The effects of gender-based violence is so dangerous because it's not only short-term but also long-term effects. For example, physical harm like HIV, injuries, then mental instability, for example, like fear, shame, also depression. The fatal things that can happen is suicide, self-harm, family loss. Then um, it, it GBV not only affected to the survivors but also their families, sadly. Okay, the next slide is what can we do to prevent and to respond GBV? The first is empowering women and girls from all aspects. And the most important aspects is education. So, if we educate women and girls, they will know their value, like they know that they are worthy, they are valuable, so they don't get easily manipulated. Next is giving them material support like cash support, engaging male allies, because remember, everyone can experience GBV, not only women but also men, and there are there are many feminists in this world, not only women but also men. They have to fight for their rights too. And then encouraging women in leadership action is also important. The last is supporting organization related to women's rights and empowerment. In our university, UNAIR, Universitas Airlangga, there is Girl Up UNAIR. It's under United Nations Foundation actually. They have a program like education, also donation, discussion about women's rights and empowerment. And I'm one of the member also because I really interested in this gender issue, and I wanted to have a supportive friends and supportive environment that discuss about women empowerment. Okay, the next slide. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I really hope you like my presentation, and I really hope that you gain a new knowledge here. Thank you. Bye bye.